The galaxy was full of powerful empires, but they all feared one place. It was known as a Class 0 Deathworld, a planet so wild and violent that no life should survive there. The storms were endless, the ground itself was dangerous, and the creatures were monsters made of nightmare. For thousands of years, no alien race dared to set foot on it, but the Galactic Council wanted answers. They needed to know if anyone could survive on such a world. To them, it was only a test, a cruel experiment. They wanted to prove which race was truly strong, and which race was only pretending. Many species had already failed. Warriors from proud empires had died within hours. Machines built by advanced civilizations had broken apart in minutes. The Council began to believe that no living thing could last there, until someone suggested an idea that made the chamber go silent. "What about the humans?" one alien said, his voice cold and sharp. At first, the Council laughed. Humans were not respected in the galaxy. They were seen as reckless, emotional, and too fragile to be trusted with serious trials. But the more they thought about it, the more they realized humans might be the perfect test. Humans came from a dangerous world of their own. Their home planet, Earth, was not as violent as a death world, but it was close. It had earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, freezing winters, burning deserts, and predators that hunted humans for food. And yet humans had survived. Not only survived, they had spread across their world, building cities in ice, jungles, mountains, and seas. "Perhaps they are stubborn enough," one alien whispered, "or foolish enough," another replied. The Council finally agreed. The humans would be sent to the Deathworld. If they died, the galaxy would lose nothing. If they survived, then the Council would learn something new. Either way, the test would be entertaining. So the message was sent to the human government. The mission was presented as an opportunity for honor. The humans, curious and always hungry for challenge, accepted. A team was chosen: soldiers, scientists, explorers, and engineers. They trained for months, studying every piece of information the Council gave them. But deep inside, they knew the truth. This was not an honor, this was a trap. And yet, they went anyway. The day of departure came. The Council gathered in their great hall, staring at the giant screen that showed the human ship. The aliens whispered among themselves. They will not last a single day, perhaps a week at most. They will beg to be rescued, but no one said what they all secretly feared. What if the humans actually survived inside the human ship? The crew sat in silence as the engines burned bright. Each one of them knew this might be their last journey. Some held on to photos of family. Some whispered prayers. Others simply stared ahead with calm faces. They were not fools. They knew. The Council had no respect for them. They knew they were being thrown into hell. But they also knew something else. Humans had always been underestimated, and sometimes that mistake cost others everything. As the ship broke into hyperspace, the Afti, leader of the human crew, Captain Elias, spoke softly to his team. "Remember this," he said, his voice steady. "They think we are weak. They think we will die fast, but we are human. We do not break. We adapt. We fight. And we survive." The crew nodded, silent but determined. Outside the ship, stars rushed past like rivers of light. The Deathworld waited for them. The Council waited to watch them fail. But a different story was about to be written, one that would change how the galaxy saw humans forever. The human ship slipped out of hyperspace, and the Deathworld came into view. It hung in the darkness like a wounded star, glowing with storms and fire. The planet's surface boiled with oceans of poison and skies that never rested. Lightning crawled across the atmosphere like giant claws scratching at the void. Inside the ship, the crew grew silent. No training could prepare them for this sight. Captain Elias stood at the window, his eyes hard. He had seen wars, deserts, jungles, and frozen tundras, but nothing compared to this world. The alien council watched from their distant stations, their screens filled with the same vision. They whispered to each other, "The humans look afraid." Of course they are. Even the strongest soldiers cannot stand against that planet. But deep inside, Some of them leaned forward, curious. Humans had a reputation, a strange one. They survived where no one else could. They thrived in chaos, and now, the galaxy was about to see if those stories were true. The ship entered the atmosphere. At once the world struck back. Winds screamed like living beasts, tearing at the hull. Thunder roared so loud it shook the walls. The heat of re-entry turned metal bright red. The pilot, Lieutenant Aria, gripped the controls, her hands steady. "Hold together," she whispered. "Just hold together." The crew strapped themselves, in their hearts racing. But no one panicked. They had chosen this path and they would not break now. With a crash like mountains colliding, the ship landed. It tore through black soil and came to rest against jagged stone. For a long moment, no one moved. Only the sound of the storm outside filled the silence. Then slowly, the crew unbuckled. They had arrived. The Deathworld waited. The ramp opened with a hiss. Poisoned air rushed in, thick and heavy. The humans stepped out in their suits, their boots sinking into ash-like ground. The sky was a burning red, filled with storms that twisted like snakes. In the distance, creatures moved, their shapes too large and too strange to name. The humans paused, staring at their new reality. One wrong step, and this planet would kill them. Back in the council chambers, aliens laughed. "They look so small," one said. "Not even insects, the world itself will crush them," another replied. But their laughter was nervous, because the humans were not screaming, not begging, not breaking. They were studying, observing, adapting. Dr. Mira, the team's biologist, knelt and touched the strange soil. Her scanner beeped rapidly. "High levels of toxins," she said calmly, "but nothing our filters cannot handle." Engineer Rafik checked the ground with his instruments. "Unstable rock, will need to reinforce the landing site," he reported. Each voice was steady, professional. The crew moved like they were on a routine mission, not trapped on the most dangerous world known to the galaxy. The first test came quickly. From the poisonous forest nearby, a creature emerged. It was taller than two men, with armor like skin and teeth like swords. Its eyes glowed with hunger as it spotted the humans. The council leaned closer to their screens. "This is it," one alien whispered. "They will run now." But the humans did not run. Captain Elias raised his hand and the team spread out. With discipline, weapons ready but not firing yet. They studied the beast, looking for weakness. It charged, the ground shaking with its steps. At the last moment, Arya fired, a bright pulse striking the creature's leg. It stumbled, and Rafik threw a trap device that clamped onto its other limb. Together, they moved like a machine. Within seconds, the beast was down, breathing hard, furious, but trapped. The council gasped. "No one has ever captured one of those alive." An alien hissed. "Humans should not even be standing right now," another muttered. But the humans were not just standing. They were, smiling. Dr. Mira stepped closer, scanning the creature. "This could feed us for weeks," she said softly. Her words echoed in the alien halls like thunder. Feed, not fear. Where other species saw death, humans saw survival. The Deathworld had given its first challenge, and the humans had answered with strength. Night fell quickly. The red sky darkened into black, filled with violent storms and strange lights. The humans built a camp, their movements efficient. Fires burned inside protective shields. Machines hummed as they purified water and air. The crew sat together, tired but alive. Captain Elias looked at them, his voice calm. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The council thinks we will not last, but tomorrow, we will prove them wrong again." Far away, the council whispered into the shadows. "They are not supposed to be alive. They are not supposed to win." But no matter how they denied it, the truth was, before their eyes, humans had arrived on the Deathworld. And they were not just surviving, they were already learning how to conquer it. The first night on the Deathworld was a war against fear. The sky tore open with storms that never rested. The ground shook as if something alive moved deep beneath the soil, and strange roars echoed from forests that twisted like living shadows. Most species would have broken by dawn, but the humans did not. Their camp stood strong. Their fire burned behind shields, and their minds remained focused. When the sun rose, blood red and violent, they were still alive. The alien council could not believe it. They lasted one night, one alien muttered. No, worse. Another hissed. They lasted calmly. The chamber filled with uneasy silence, because it was true. The humans had not simply survived, they had adapted. Captain Elias walked the camp, his boots sinking into the poisoned ash. He checked every shield, every sensor, every weapon. The crew moved around him like a practiced machine. Arya worked on repairing the damaged thrusters. Rafik reinforced the landing site with old-style braces. Dr. Mira collected samples of air and soil. To them, this was not panic. It was routine. Mira studied her samples with tired eyes. The toxins in the air are powerful, she said, but in small doses our bodies might adapt over time. The others looked at her with disbelief. Adapt to poison, Arya said softly. Is that even possible? Mira gave a small smile. With humans, almost anything is possible. Midday, they moved deeper into the land. Every step was a challenge. The ground cracked, releasing gas that burned like fire. Creatures stalked from the shadows, watching with glowing eyes. But the humans adjusted their path, adjusted their tools, adjusted their pace. Each obstacle became data. Each threat became a lesson. The council watched in frustration. Why are they not afraid? One demanded. They should be begging for rescue. Another snarled. But the answer was clear. Fear was there, yes. But for humans, fear was not an ending. It was fuel. When the second beast attacked, the crew did not scatter. It came from the cliffs, wings sharp as blades, a scream like thunder. The council leaned forward, eager to see blood. But the humans reacted with precision. Arya ducked. Rafik fired a flare to blind it. Mira threw a shock net. Together, they brought it crashing down. Its body twitched in the ash, defeated. Instead of despair, the humans felt pride. Meet for tonight, Mira said simply, and the council's chamber grew cold. As the days passed, something stranger happened. The humans grew stronger. Their muscles hardened from the constant battles. Their lungs adjusted to thin breaths through filters. Their eyes grew sharper in the endless storms. It was as if the Deathworld itself was shaping them, not killing them but forging them. One night, Captain Elias sat by the fire staring at the wild sky. This place should have broken us, he said quietly. But I feel more alive than I ever have before. The crew nodded, though none of them fully understood why. They were not only surviving, they were changing. Back in the council chambers, arguments grew louder. This test is dangerous, one elder said. We should remove them before they discover too much. Another warned, but others refused. No, they said. Let them continue. Let us see how far they can go. Yet fear lingered in their eyes. Because humans were not reacting like any other species had, Dr. Mira's notes revealed something shocking. The Deathworld is toxic, yes, but some of its resources can be transformed, she explained. Water can be purified, plants can be processed, even the air can be filtered naturally. She looked at her team and smiled faintly. This world is trying to kill us, but it also offers tools for survival, and humans always learn to use tools. Every day they built something new. Rafik created weapons from the bones of fallen beasts. Mira designed medicine from poisonous plants. Arya mapped the storms and learned how to fly through them. Step by step, the humans turned the Deathworld into a workshop. The impossible was becoming possible. At night, when creatures howled, in the distance the crew did not shrink back. They listened, studied, prepared. Even their dreams changed. They dreamed of fire, storms, and endless battles. But in those dreams they always stood tall, never running, never breaking. The council's whispers grew darker. "This is not natural," one alien said. "No species should be able to live there." "And yet they do," another answered, their voice trembling. "They do more than live. They adapt." On the 7th day, the humans climbed a ridge to see farther across the land. The view stole their breath. Forests of twisted black trees stretched for miles. Rivers of molten rock glowed below, and mountains tore the sky apart. It was a vision of chaos, of death. Yet Captain Elias only smiled. "Beautiful," he said, softly. Because where others saw only terror, humans saw a challenge waiting to be claimed. The Deathworld did not rest. Every sunrise brought new storms, and every night carried new monsters. The land shifted like it was alive, cracking open to release fire or gas. The skies screamed with lightning, and shadows moved across the forests. Like predators waiting for weakness, any other species would have begged for rescue, but the humans did not. Instead, something strange was happening. With every test, they grew sharper, faster, stronger. It was as if the world that tried to kill them was also training them. Captain Elias noticed it first. When he carried heavy equipment across broken stone, he realized it felt lighter than before. When the storms hit, his balance was steady. His body no longer fought the pressure, it embraced it. He looked at his crew and saw the same change. Arya moved with speed, dodging falling debris like she had done it all her life. Rafik worked in poison air longer than the filters should allow, his body adjusting to thin oxygen. And Mira, once pale from exhaustion, now stood tall, her eyes bright with energy. The Deathworld was not breaking them, it was unlocking them. The Alien Council saw it too, and their unease grew. "This should not be possible," one elder hissed. "The Deathworld kills. It does not give strength," another argued. Yet the proof filled their screens. Humans who should have been corpses now walked like warriors born of storms. It was unnatural, and it was terrifying. The next trial came with no warning. A quake ripped across the land, the ground splitting open beneath their camp. Flames burst from the cracks, ash filled the air, and the earth roared like an angry beast. The crew stumbled, their shields flickering, their fire nearly dying. But Elias shouted, his voice steady, "Hold the line, do not run." And they did. Together, they rebuilt the shields faster than before. Rafik dragged heavy beams and locked them into place with hands that no longer shook. Mira treated burns with medicine she had made from poisonous plants. Arya scanned the skies and mapped the storm so they could move through it safely. Within hours, what should have destroyed them only made them stronger. When the quake ended, the humans stood taller. Their camp was damaged, but their spirits were unbroken. At night, they sat by their fire and spoke quietly. Mira's voice carried a thought that none dared say before. "This world is dangerous, yes," she whispered, "but I think it is shaping us. Every day we change, every day we adapt faster than before. It is like the Deathworld is forcing us to become something new." The others looked at her in silence. Her words were strange, but they felt true. The council argued in secret chambers. "Stop this test before it is too late," one alien demanded. "They are becoming monsters," another warned, but some were fascinated. "No," they said. "Watch them, study them, learn from them. If they can survive this, imagine what else they can do." The room filled with fear and greed, because humans were no longer prey, they were becoming predators. The proof came the next day. A massive creature, larger than any they had faced before, crawled out from the poisoned forest. Its body was covered in spikes, its mouth wide enough to swallow a man whole. The council whispered in delight, "This will finish them. Nothing can fight that." But the humans did not run. They moved together, calm and precise. Elias shouted orders. Arya climbed the rocks to distract the beast with fire. Rafik used traps built from broken ship parts. Mira fired her weapon into weak spots she had studied from smaller creatures. The monster roared, swinging its massive claws. The ground shook as it attacked, but the humans did not break. They fought like they were born for this, and when the beast finally collapsed into the ash, the crew stood victorious. The council's chamber was silent. Their screens showed the humans. Dirty, blood-stained, but alive. No one spoke for a long time, because they all saw the truth. This was not luck. This was strength. The humans cut the beast for food and materials, turning its hide into armor and its bones into tools. Mira laughed, softly. This monster wanted to kill us, now it will keep us alive. The irony made the aliens shiver. To humans, danger was not an ending, it was a resource. That night, Captain Elias stood at the edge of the camp staring into the violent horizon. He thought about Earth, about the history of his people, how humans had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. They had always faced death, and they had always grown stronger because of it. The Deathworld was only another chapter. A harder test, yes, but not an impossible one. Perhaps, Elias whispered. We were made for worlds like this. The wind screamed across the land. The storm raged as if trying to crush them, but the humans did not bow. They stood, tired but alive. And in the eyes of the Council, a new fear was born. The Deathworld was not destroying humans, it was revealing their hidden strength. The Deathworld never gave peace. Every hour was a new battle. Every breath was a risk. The humans knew this, but they had already accepted it. To them, survival was not just holding on. It was fighting back. The fifth day began with silence. Too much silence. The forest that usually screamed with the cries of hidden beasts was quiet. The sky, though still storming, carried a strange weight. Captain Elias felt it immediately. Something was coming. The crew moved carefully, checking weapons, adjusting, armor made from scavenged bone and metal. Dr. Mira studied tracks in the ash, her eyes narrowing. These are fresh, she said. Something large passed here during the night. Rafik touched the ground, feeling faint tremors beneath the soil. Not just large, he whispered. Something massive. The Council watched with eager hunger. They are about to meet their end, one alien said, his voice sharp with excitement. This creature has ended every test before them. They cannot win, another added. But still, a few leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screens. They had thought the humans would die in the first hour, yet here they were, stronger than before, and now they would face the deadliest challenge yet. The attack came with thunder. The ground split apart as a beast erupted from the poisoned forest. It was taller than the trees, its body armored with black scales, its roar shaking the land. Two burning eyes locked on the humans, filled with hunger and rage, the council chambers filled with gasps. This is the Death Titan, one alien whispered. No one has ever survived it. The crew did not run. Elias raised his weapon, his voice steady. Positions, he commanded. Arya scrambled to higher ground, setting up her rifle. Rafik carried explosives, planting them in the cracks of the earth. Mira readied her shock traps, her hands steady. Every movement was practiced, every breath controlled. The Titan charged, its steps shaking the world. The humans moved like water, flowing around its strikes. A claw slammed into the ground where Elias had stood, leaving a crater of fire and dust. He rolled aside and shouted, "Now!" Arya fired, her shot striking the beast's eye. It roared in fury, staggering. Mira triggered a net of lightning, wrapping around its legs. The Titan thrashed, breaking through but slowing for just a moment. That moment was all Rafik needed. He detonated. The charges, the ground exploding beneath the creature's feet. It fell, screaming, its body crashing into the ash like a mountain collapsing. The council erupted in chaos. "This is not possible," an alien shouted. "No race should be able to fight the Death Titan," another hissed. But the screens showed the truth. The humans were still standing, weapons raised, eyes burning with focus. The Titan struggled to rise, broken but not defeated. It swung its tail, smashing trees and rocks aside. The crew scattered, regrouping instantly. Elias's voice cut through the storm. Again, together, and they obeyed. Arya's shots blinded it further. Mira's traps shocked it again and again. Rafik hurled firebombs made from scavenged fuel. Elias charged forward, his blade carved from the bone of another beast. He drove it into the Titan's neck, sparks flying, blood spilling like burning tar. The creature roared one final time before collapsing. The earth trembled as its body fell still. Silence followed, broken only by the heavy breaths of the crew. The council stared in disbelief. Humans had done the impossible. They had not just survived the Titan, they had killed it. Mira approached the corpse, scanning its body. "This beast is more than a monster," she said softly. "Its organs, its blood, even its bones can be used." Rafik touched the scales, nodding. "Armor, weapons, tools, food. This one creature could sustain us for weeks." Elias looked at them, his face hard but proud. "Then it is not just our enemy," he said. "It is our victory." The council's chamber grew tense. "This is dangerous," one alien whispered. "They were supposed to be prey, but they are hunters. They were supposed to fear death, but they turned death into survival." And in the silence that followed, none of them could deny the truth. The humans had just changed the rules. That night, the crew built stronger shelters with the Titan's bones. They ate its meat, bitter but nourishing. They forged blades. From its teeth and armor from its scales around their fire, they looked at each other with something new in their eyes. It was not just survival anymore. It was power. Elias stood before them, the fire casting his shadow against the broken land. "This world sent its worst against us," he said, his voice low and steady. "And we stand victorious. Remember this moment. Remember that they think we are weak, but we are human, and nothing on this world can stop us now." The wind howled. The storms raged. The Deathworld itself seemed to scream in anger. But the humans did not bow. They sat taller, their fire brighter, their resolve unshaken. Because tonight was not just survival. Tonight was their first victory. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. Humans had done the impossible. They had faced the Death Titan, a creature feared by every race, and they had won. What was supposed to be the end of their story had become the beginning of something terrifying. Inside the council chambers, silence ruled. Dozens of alien leaders sat in their high seats, their eyes fixed on the great screen that showed the human camp. The humans were laughing, eating the Titan's meat, forging tools from its bones. There was no fear in their faces, only determination, only strength. "This cannot continue," one elder alien hissed, his voice sharp as broken glass. "They were supposed to die," another shouted, slamming his clawed hand on the table. "The Titan has destroyed every other test subject. No one has ever killed it," a third muttered. "And yet the humans did," another whispered, fear dripping from every word. The chamber filled with noise, arguments clashing like weapons. "End the trial now, before they grow stronger. No, we must observe. Their adaptation is beyond science, beyond reason. They are dangerous, can you not see it? This is no longer a test, it is a warning." But still, the screens glowed with the image of humans turning death into survival. And that image was more frightening than any monster. Captain Elias stood tall by the fire, giving orders to his crew. Even from a distance, the council could see the authority in his eyes, the way the humans listened, the way they worked together. This was not chaos. This was order. Not prey, but hunters, not victims, but conquerors. One alien leaned forward, his voice soft but filled with dread. "If they can thrive on a Class 0 Deathworld, then no world is closed to them. Do you not understand? This is their nature. They will spread, they will grow, they will become unstoppable." His words hung heavy in the chamber, because deep inside, every leader knew he was right. Back on the planet, the humans continued to adapt. Mira's medicines grew stronger, Rafik's weapons sharper, Arya's maps more precise. The storms that once terrified them were now predictable. The beasts that once hunted them were now trophies. Each day, their camp grew into a fortress. Each night, their fire burned brighter. Against the chaos of the land, the council watched with growing fear. "They smile in the face of death," one whispered. "They grow stronger where others fall weaker." Another added, "They are rewriting the laws of survival." A third muttered, and with every word the truth became harder to deny. The humans were not failing the test. They were breaking it. In the shadows of the chamber, secret voices spoke. Perhaps we should interfere, one suggested. Send storms, send more beasts, increase the pressure until they break. But another replied, his tone grim. What if that makes them stronger still? What if we are forging a weapon instead of destroying it? The silence that followed was heavy with dread, because even their enemies now feared what humans could become. Meanwhile, the human crew sat together, their laughter echoing through the poisoned air. They spoke of Earth, of oceans and forests, of families waiting far away. But their voices carried no despair, only hope, because they knew something the Council did not want to admit. They were not just surviving the Deathworld, they were learning to master it. Elias looked at his crew, his voice steady and calm. They think this world will kill us, he said. But look around, we have shelter, we have food, we have weapons. Every day this world tests us and every day we rise higher. They do not understand. We are not their experiment. We are their lesson. The council chamber grew restless as his words echoed from the broadcast. This is dangerous, one alien shouted. They are not supposed to speak of victory. Another snapped. They should be broken, and yet they sound like leaders. A third muttered. Fear spread across the seats like fire, because the humans were not only surviving, they were inspiring. Some aliens wanted the humans destroyed immediately. Others wanted them studied, dissected, contained. But a few remained silent, watching with hidden thoughts, because deep inside, they understood a darker truth. If humans could thrive on a death world, then perhaps they were not out of place at all. Perhaps they belonged there. And if that was true, then what place in the galaxy could ever hold them back? On the death world, the storms raged louder. The ground trembled with the roar of unseen giants. But the humans stood unshaken, their fire burning bright, their eyes filled with resolve. They were stronger than ever, and far away, in the highest halls of power, the council trembled, because for the first time in countless ages, the galaxy had found something to fear, not the death world, but the humans who refused to die on it. The death world had already revealed storms, beasts, and poison, but now it was about to reveal something stranger, something that even the council had not expected, because buried beneath the chaos of this world, there were secrets. Secrets older than the galaxy itself. The humans had been exploring beyond their camp. They wanted to understand the land, not just survive it. Captain Elias led them across cliffs of black stone and rivers of boiling water. Arya mapped the skies, predicting the storms with growing accuracy. Mira studied strange plants that grew in poison, and Rafik searched for useful resources hidden in the rocks. It was Rafik who found the first clue. While digging near a canyon, his scanner beeped with strange readings. The soil was too regular, too shaped, not natural chaos, but something built. Captain, Rafik said, his voice uncertain. This is not just rock, this is structure. The crew worked together, clearing ash and stone. Slowly, a shape began to emerge. Not bones, not a beast, but walls, carved stone covered in symbols glowing faintly even after ages. Dr. Mira touched the markings, her eyes wide. This is language, she whispered. Not random, not natural, this was made. The council chamber erupted with noise. They found ruins, one alien shouted. That is impossible, no intelligent life could ever survive on a Class 0 death world, another argued. But the truth was on the screens. The humans had uncovered proof that this world had once been home to something greater. Elias studied the walls, his face dark with thought. If there were builders here, they must have been strong, he said. Stronger than the beasts, stronger than the storms, stronger even than us. The crew exchanged uneasy looks, because if such a race had lived here, where were they now? Deeper into the ruins, they found carvings, strange figures etched into stone. They showed creatures standing tall against storms, fighting monsters, wielding tools of light. Mira's voice shook as she traced the pictures. They survived here, just like we do. But then, her voice fell to a whisper, and then, they fell. The last carvings showed fire, collapse, destruction. The figures vanished into shadows, the storm swallowing everything. It was a warning carved into the very bones of the world. Rafik stepped back, his voice low. Whatever lived, here was strong, but even they could not escape the Deathworld in the end. The council grew restless. This is dangerous knowledge, one alien snapped. They must not learn too much, another growled. But still they watched, unable to turn away. Because the humans were not afraid of the ruins, they were fascinated. Elias stood among the broken stones, his voice steady. "This world has destroyed civilizations before," he said, "but that only proves something important. If others fell, we must rise higher. If they could not endure, we must endure longer. We will not be erased like them." The humans pressed. Deeper into the ruins, they found shattered halls filled with strange machines. Most were broken, rusted, or melted by storms. But a few still hummed faintly, filled with energy that had lasted across ages. Arya studied them with awe. "These devices are beyond anything I have seen," she whispered. "Even the council could not build this." That sentence sent fear into the council chambers, because if the humans unlocked this technology, they would not only survive, they would grow unstoppable. Already the humans adapted to storms and beasts. What would happen if they also gained the knowledge of a lost race? Mira examined a fragment of glowing crystal, her scanner flashing wildly. "This could power our entire camp for months," she said. "This could change everything." Elias nodded, his voice calm. "Then we will use it, just like we use every challenge this world throws at us." But Mira's eyes lingered on the carvings of collapse, she whispered softly, almost to herself. "This world has a cycle. Life grows strong, then it is broken again and again. What if we are only the next part of that cycle?" Her words hung heavy in the poisoned air, because even the strongest victory meant little if the world itself would always rise to crush them. That night, as the crew returned to camp with fragments of ancient machines, the council whispered in panic. "They should never have found this," one alien hissed. "They will uncover the truth we buried long ago." Another said, "For centuries the council had feared these ruins. They had sent species after species, never expecting anyone to reach this far. And now the humans had, not only surviving, but discovering, not only enduring, but learning." Around the human fire, Elias spoke quietly, his eyes on the crystal in his hand. "This world is not only trying to kill us," he said. "It is testing us, shaping us. Others came before, and they fell. But we are not them. We are human, and this world will not write our ending." The fire burned bright, the ruins glowed faintly in the distance, and far away, the council trembled, because humans had done what no one else could. They had looked into the history of the Deathworld, and instead of despair, they saw a challenge. A secret buried for ages was now in human hands, and the galaxy knew nothing would ever be the same again.